Well, good evening, and welcome to Rhode Island. I am very, very proud to have such a strong showing of passionate and innovative activists and thinkers here in my home state for the 5th annual Netroots Nation Conference. I have been looking forward to this, and I know Mayor Angel Taveras is as excited as I am, as are Governor Chafee and my colleagues in Congress, Senator Jack Reed, Congressman Jim Langevin, and Congressman David Cicilline. Special thanks to our Rhode Island bloggers and online organizers for lending your voices and welcoming your colleagues from around the country. Logistics. This weekend, please share your favorite Rhode Island experiences using the hashtag NN12RI. My staff and I will retweet some of the best ones. I hope you'll keep up with me during Netroots Nation on Twitter at Sen Whitehouse and on Facebook at facebook.com/Senator Whitehouse. Some special events we've got planned this weekend. Tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m., I'm hosting a panel with Cap Action on the effects of Citizens United. We'll be taking some of those questions via Twitter with the hashtag CitizensAsk, so don't miss it. And tomorrow night, Mayor Taveras and I are hosting a Welcome to Providence block party at 8 p.m. at Local 121, an ecologically, culturally, and agriculturally sustainable restaurant located in an affordable live-in workspace for artists at 121 Washington Street. Join us there for a pint. And Saturday, do not miss a special Providence tradition, our water fire. A spectacular display of fire on Providence's rivers. It is not to be missed. And this week's water fire is in special honor of Netroots Nation at Water Place Park at sunset. And since our progressive values include giving back to our communities, we've organized a day of service on Sunday. Don't spend the whole conference online. Come out on Sunday and help with some service in Providence's beautiful Roger Williams Park. You will have fun and you will feel great about it. So enough logistics. Netroots Nation brings us together to reconnect with the American dream. The American dream that hard work in school and on the job pays off. That the next generation will have a better life than the previous one. The story of the American 20th century is one of the American dream gradually being extended to more and more people. But today, many Americans feel not so much. People here in Rhode Island who worked hard throughout their entire lives are struggling to keep their homes. Families watch bills pile up while their wages remain stagnant. And folks who've never been unemployed in their lives can't find a decent job no matter how hard they look. Americans see incomes of the top 1% of earners grow by 11.6% just in 2010, while incomes for the other 99% grew only by 0.2%. That means that 1% captured 93% of the income gains in the first year of this recovery. America has always promised a straight deal where everybody plays by the same fair rules. But I hear from folks that the rules of the economic game seem increasingly rigged to advantage the well-connected and to disadvantage regular families. So we have this mission together. If we're going to rebuild the middle class, we need to make our economy and our government work for everyone again. What does that mean? Well, the Bible says, hold fast that which is good. We must hold fast to Social Security, to Medicare, and to Pell Grants. These are pillars of American freedom, pillars of American prosperity, and pillars of American economic security. There's always going to be pressure. Wall Street wants to get its hands onto Social Security. The insurance industry wants to get its hands onto Medicare. big Republican interests will always seek to privatize both programs. And in Congress, we've fought off multiple attempts to cut Pell Grants. Well, a political leader once said, "One ought not to be obstinate unless one ought to be. And then one ought to be unshakable. On Social Security, on Medicare benefits, and on Pell Grants, progressives should be unshakable." Second, we need to roll back the special tax rates and loopholes that help billionaires and big corporations and that leave out regular people who don't have their special influence. The IRS reports that the 400 highest income earners in America, earning an average of $200 million each, paid an average of 20% in taxes in 2009. That's the same rate a single Rhode Island firefighter pays on a salary of $50,000. I'm working with Tammy Baldwin to pass the Buffett Rule bill, named after investor Warren Buffett, who agrees with me that it is irresponsible to allow super high income earners to pay lower tax rates than middle-class Americans. This bill would ensure that multi-million-dollar earners, who are supposed to be paying a 35% marginal tax rate, actually pay at least a tax rate of 30%. Do you think that's too much to ask? Does that seem to be too much to ask? Well, a majority of the United States Senate agreed with you in a recent vote, but the Buffett Rule was nevertheless derailed by Republican filibuster. We lost that round, but it was round one, and I will keep fighting for a tax system that gives regular Americans a straight deal. Third, these big banks should not have free rein to make outsized bets with taxpayer-insured money, all while they roll back basic consumer protections for regular Americans. That deal led to an economic collapse that crippled our economy. J.P. Morgan Chase recently revealed its loss of more than $2 billion on the same kind of complex, risky trades that were at the center of the economic meltdown of 2008. And our banking regulators have yet to implement the rule to separate core, federally insured consumer banking from these hedge fund-like trading activities that leave taxpayers exposed. The big banks and their credit card subsidiaries also take advantage of a loophole that allows them to ignore the laws of a consumer's home state and charge regular folks sky-high interest rates, illegal under the home state's law, while they themselves get near zero interest rates from the Fed. We have a long way to go before we can say that our banking system gives that straight deal to middle-class families. Fourth is the environment. Our planet is warming. Asthma rates among children, directly linked to coal plant pollutants in the air, are at all-time highs. Unfortunately, polluters emit propaganda as well as pollution, and they've been emitting too darn much of both lately. We just broke through the 400 parts per million barrier. While extremists on the right deny there's a problem by rejecting science entirely, and polluters fund phony front organizations to manufacture doubt. That's why I go to the floor of the Senate every week to make sure the truth is told about the threats to our environment and why your voices are so important too. Last, and maybe worst in this great and historic democracy of ours, is the unlimited, anonymous corporate money now flooding our elections. With Citizens United, the conservative bloc of the Supreme Court struck down key protections of our American elections integrity, overturning decades of precedent and the will both of Congress and of the American people. It is no secret that special interests have long had too much influence in the legislative and executive branches. Citizens United means that influence now threatens to overrun our very elections. Super PACs have become the evil twins of candidates' campaigns. Unlike candidates' campaigns, they can accept unlimited corporate cash. Unlike candidates' campaigns, they hide the identities of their funders. And unlike candidates' campaigns, they can run vicious, negative campaign ads without anyone being accountable. As the anonymous communications director for the Definitely Not Coordinating with Stephen Colbert Super PAC recently tweeted, "Thank you all for your donations. We promise to put that money to good use, or at the very least, use." Our last defense, friends, against that tidal wave of money from special interests is disclosure. Help me fight for passage of the Disclose Act so every citizen can know who is spending those fortunes to gain special influence. In a brief I recently filed against Citizens United with Senator John McCain, we said, America's democracy has long stood as a model to the world. I stand with you in defending the integrity of America's elections, which have long been not just the bulwark of our democracy, but a beacon to other nations around the world. And if the court won't revisit its misguided Citizens United decision, let's amend the Constitution. In all of these contests, we must be prepared for the spin and propaganda that engulfs us, not just in elections, but in policymaking at all levels of government. Progressives must be alert to call out the fraud. Our conservative friends love to roll out sensible-sounding ideas. Balance the national budget. Scrap obsolete and burdensome regulations. Who could be against things like that? But then they hide some pretty awful stuff in there behind the curtain. Pull back the curtain marked "Cut the Deficit," and what do you see? Eliminating Medicare as we know it. Pull back the curtain marked "Regulatory Reform," and what do you see? Gutting the Clean Air Act. Behind the curtain of spin and propaganda is some nasty stuff. As this year's campaign season heats up, we face choices that will determine the direction of our nation. This November, voters will decide whether they want to elect a president and members of Congress who put the values and well-being of American working families first, or for politicians who seek to stack the deck ever more in favor of the winners. The big corporations want to take over Social Security, Medicare, even our elections. The Republicans want to help them. They're hoping that with enough spin and propaganda, they can get away with it. But you, the online opinion makers who make Netroots Nation so great, with your blogs, your email lists, your Facebook pages, your tweets, and your videos, you can fight back against this tide of money, of spin, of extremism. You can help make sure that this remains our great democracy of, by, and for the people. Thank you very, very much, and have a wonderful time in Providence.